Well, now I'd like to invite the children to come forward for our story for all ages. If you'd like to come down and have a seat on the carpet. Well, good morning. Well, all good stories are true stories. Because even if they didn't happen exactly the way the story said they did, they teach us something that's true about ourselves, about the world, about what's important. But our story today is not just a true story, it's also a historical story. It really happened this way. And it happened in 1963 in a small liberal arts college in Minnesota called Carleton College. Well, like many small liberal arts schools, Carleton College was founded by a religious group. In this case, it was the Congregationalist Churches of Minnesota. And because it had been founded by a religious group, they still had the requirement that all students had to attend weekly chapel services. Now, because they were also good mid-20th century American liberals, they had a rule that said you could also go to the services of your religion. So the Catholics could go to Mass, and the Jews could go to temple, and a handful of Buddhists could go to the Buddhist student group meeting, and that would count for the chapel service requirement. But college students in 1963, being not very different from college students today, there were some who didn't much care for this rule. I mean, what business is it of the college to tell me I have to go to chapel service? And so some of them were sitting around thinking about how they might get around this. And one of them said, you know, the rules say that we can attend the services of our religion. What if we said we were Druids? Well, I don't know if they put a lot of research into this or if the thought just popped into somebody's mind, but they made a very good selection. Because on the one hand, we don't know very much about the ancient Druids because they didn't write anything down. But what that means is that over the years, a lot of different people have done a lot of different things called themselves Druids. On the other hand, there had been a lot of these people, and so there was some material for them to draw on, and they didn't have to start from scratch. Now, I'm a member of the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids, and we trace our beginnings back to 1717. And we're not sure that 1717 date is a historical date, but we are sure there were people who called themselves Druids in the early 1700s, and we are sure that there was one Druid order in existence by 1792. So they made a very good decision. And this group of students decided to call themselves the Reformed Druids of North America. And they held their services outdoors, and they sang hymns to nature, and they poured offerings to the earth, and they shared the waters of life. And because every other religion they knew had sacred texts, but Druidry doesn't have any sacred texts, they made up some. And here's one of their writings. The object of the search for religious truth, which is a universal and never-ending search, may be found through the earth mother, which is nature. But this is one way, yea, one way among many. And great is the importance, which is of a spiritual importance of nature, which is the earth mother. For it is one of the objects of creation, and with it do we live. Yea, even as we do struggle through life, we are come face to face with it. Well, that was pretty, but nobody can remember it. So they shortened it down to 2 lines. Nature is good. And likewise, nature is good. Well, word got around and more people started coming out to their services. And they expected to get some pushback from the college administration, but either the college administration was very true to their liberal values, or they were just smarter than the students gave them credit for. Application for a new student religious group. Yep, everything's in order. Approved. The college president even came out and attended one of their circles. And when he found out that what the ancient Celts called the waters of life, we call whiskey, he took a sip and passed it on. Well, this went on for a couple of years, and then two very interesting things happened. The first is that Carleton College, very quietly, removed the requirement for students to attend chapel service. The second was that some of these Reformed Druids decided they liked what they were doing, and they kept it up. And although it is a very small order, the Reformed Druids of North America is still in existence today. But when they left Carleton College, they took their Reformed Druidry with them. And one of the founders' names was Robert Larson, and he went on to become a graduate student at the University of California in Berkeley. And while he was there, one of his roommates was a young man by the name of Isaac Bonowitz. And Robert introduced Isaac to Druidry. Well, Isaac would go on to become the only person ever awarded a bachelor's degree in magic by the University of California. He would write 20 books on magic and Druidry, and he would found Ernjot Fane, ADF, which is the largest Druid order in the United States. Isaac's tales, however, will be another story for another time. Now, before you leave, when Reverend Pam tells a story, she likes to wonder about it. And so I wonder about this story. This is a historical story. Things really happened this way. I wonder what in this story is true. So who's lighting our religious education chalice this morning? Oh, don't everybody jump at once. Come on.
Go ahead.
And say with me, please.
This is our chalice of love and of light.